Have you ever stopped to question the stories you tell to yourself about who you are? What if those stories are just illusions, pictures you've unknowingly clung onto your entire life? What if you could rewrite those stories, creating a new narrative that better reflects your true self? It's easy to get caught up in the narratives we create for ourselves. From an early age, we begin to form our identities based on what others tell us and how they perceive us, how parents, teachers, peers, and society as a whole, how they all play a role in shaping who we are and believing ourselves to be who we think we are. But what if these external influences have clouded our perception of ourselves? What if the stories we've been told about who we are don't align with our inner truth? It's worth taking a step back and examining these narratives that we often take for granted. Through self-reflection and introspection, we can start to identify the beliefs and ideas that have been imposed on us and begin to question their validity. Are these narratives serving us or holding us back from becoming our true selves? Creating a new narrative for ourselves can be challenging and a vulnerable process. It requires us to let go of what we've always known and embrace the unknown. But by doing so, we open ourselves up to the possibility, potentially, of previously that was hidden from our view. We can start by identifying what is truly important to us, what motivates us and drives us, and what brings us joy and fulfillment. These are the building blocks of a new narrative that can align with our authentic self. Welcome to Transcendent. I'm Mark Roach, and this channel is dedicated to empowering everyday individuals to embrace what society often labels as exceptional, but is, in truth, a natural and unique part of who we are. In today's video, we're taking a journey through time with a true master. We'll be delving into Maurice Nicole's psychological commentaries, exploring his work with G.I. Gurdjieff and P.D. Ouspensky. Specifically, we'll revisit a group meeting in Birdlip from June 24th, 1944, focusing on excerpts from a discussion that was titled Pictures and Imagination. This is the final installment of a four-part series. Let's dive in. I have often been interested in the remark, "I am a man who respects himself." This has given me many thoughts, even before I met this work. However, it is a picture. Which self? I can understand a man respecting his work eyes, but not himself. If we possess real self-knowledge and we begin to come into the real feeling of real I suppose we would never make any statement about the kind of people we are. Real being makes no statement about itself. It is. To be is not to imagine. It is what it is. However, having no real we have to make shift first and to keep up some pictures, such as that we are ideally happy and so on. Unfortunately, we never see these pictures. They make us behave as we do. They act us. We do not act them. It is not a misfortune as long as we are not dissatisfied with ourselves and begin to desire some definite knowledge that can make our existence more real. People are satisfied by their pictures of themselves. A thick, dark, dull atmosphere is produced as a result, but a very ordinary one. It is possible to dislike it and wish to come into a greater sincerity and more light. This is not necessary for life, for cosmic purposes. We strut about satisfied. We can expect nothing but what happens to us under such circumstances, and there is nothing further to be said. There is your food. There is your money. There is your position. There is your job. There is your motor car. And there is your There are your pictures. It's all quite simple to do with age-old esoteric psychology. It has nothing to do with the work and the efforts it demands. You are encased in jelly. But the jelly of this life is hypnotism. One is transfixed in self-illusion. It is really a tragedy. Why is it a tragedy? Because all the time we are not doing anything actually belonging to us. What we are not being anything, we are not being anything we can be. We are not in the right place in our sense of ourselves, and so we are eventually discarded as useless experiments in self-evolution. Is this too harsh of a statement? I think not. First, we must fulfill the function of a good housekeeper or a good householder. That is a definite and real possibility. Why? Because a self-satisfied person will say, why on earth should I alter my viewpoints, my thoughts, my outlook, my standards once I have become a reasonably good householder, a reasonably responsible and educated person? Certainly I often wonder why anyone should. Why leave Egypt and go out into the wilderness? If pictures of oneself are very strong, very profound, and so very much identified with, the idea is sheer nonsense. Do you not know who I am? This is a summation of all pictures of oneself. Yes, we all say this after a certain degree of insult. All the same, it is a tragedy. We crystallize out long before it is necessary. We keep on driving about in the carriage of our picture. We never discover ourselves. Is this not a tragedy? Instead, we cling to and fasten on to our pictures of ourselves. I'm quite certain that this is a tragedy. It is hypnotism. Do you think that when the work says we are deliberately hypnotized on this earth, it means nothing? Why, if you begin to see pictures in yourself and to see how you have been identified with them all your life, you will know that you yourself have been actually hypnotized and shared in the general hypnotism. But to see how you yourself have suffered is exceptionally difficult. It is, of course, obvious that everyone else is suffering from hypnotism, and that therefore everyone else is rather a fool or silly, but not oneself. No one thinks he is a fool. What you really think is this: I'm a lion, I'm a genius, or I'm an eagle, or I'm remarkable, I'm a fine person, I'm an exceptional person, not in this particular and common way, but in that subtle, unnoticed way, a violet, not yet disclosed, a person not yet grasped, and, in fact, a person who should have never been born into this soulless world. Yet we all have such delicate false pictures without exception, but do not notice them. They furnish us with a great deal of satisfaction, and until there arise in us, when we begin to awaken, very powerful contrary forces that for a long time we cannot understand. That is because we still cling to those ideas of ourselves or that sense of ourselves that are derived from our realized pictures. Let the force act on you, and if you have not seen or yet seen at all what stands in their way, you naturally suffer unnecessarily. You do not see that they are at, you do not see what they are at in you as long as you are accepting your pictures and not seeing them. But if you have begun the laborious task of removing your sense and meaning of yourself from these rather cheap pictures of yourself, these forces become infinitely full of meaning. Naturally, one cannot change if one clings to what one is. However, this is what we do for many, many years until at last we know that a turning point has been reached. Well, that wraps up our 4-part series on pictures and imagination. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Mark Roach, and this is Transcendent, wishing you all the very best.